I just go and talk to people and say, hey, what are you doing today? What did you dream? What would you like to do? So with that smartphone, the contacts would fill up fast.
Welcome to SocTalks.com, where inspiring authors, speakers, and masterminds share their stories with you. Let their stories ignite your passion, accelerate you on your path, and annihilate your limiting beliefs. Now, here's your host for SocTalks.com, Socrates Zayas.
And so, boom, let's get this started. Today on SocTalks, we have the author of The Power of Faith-Driven Success, a certified vision and transformation coach, international speaker, contributor to the Huffington Post, and ambassador of Global Presence Leadership. She travels all over to share her enlightening and thoughtful, provoking message of turning into your true selves. A proud Christ lover, a wife, a mother to a son, Jonah. Okay, this woman's tough. She enjoys kickboxing and body combat. Whew. Who am I talking about? Her name is Isabel Hundt. So Isabel, are you ready to ignite passions, accelerate journeys, and annihilate limiting beliefs?
Boom, Socrates. Yes, I can't quite go too loud. I would go a little louder, again, with the kickboxing, the power comes, but my son is asleep.
That's good. We don't want to wake him up because then you'll be booming that. Right?
Oh, that wouldn't be so good.
Okay, so go ahead and fill in the blanks. Who is the real Isabel Hundt?
The real Isabel Hundt. I am a passionate woman who loves to connect with other people, who is a warrior, a spiritual renegade, very determined, very direct, honest, how Germans are. Oh, yes, I am German.
That is good.
And I just moved to the United States about seven years ago now. So, yes, and as you mentioned, love Christ, really try to give glory to Him with everything I do, and just love life, enjoy life. I love the mountains. Absolutely. I love to be outside. We're all outside people in our family. So that would describe me in short.
In short and long. That sounds good to me. That sounds great. What part of Germany are you from?
Originally east part, right? It's like 30 minutes away from the Czech Republic border, right where that corner is on the east side.
Okay. All right. So that's pretty good. And so obviously you speak both, right? Do you speak both or just Deutsch?
I speak both.
Since you're so close to the Czech Republic, do you also speak?
No. I don't understand Czech at all. It just went over there to get gas. Because it was much cheaper.
Wow. That's crazy. Well, thank you for sharing that. Okay. So in brief, SocTalks is all about the guests' stories. Okay, I feel stories are what create rapport. That's what resonates best with people. Okay, and it gets them to be more immediate to move into action because of stories. Okay, so let me go ahead and start off with here. Let me grab my magical wand. Okay, so I'm waving up in the air. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Poof. Let's go way back to when you first got started on your journey. Right, to you, who you are today. So would it be okay if you shared with us a failure story, a worst moment in your faith-driven experience?
Yes. To be able to share that moment, I think there have been a lot, but it actually really started all with me when I was about 12 years old. So this whole story of discovering and what was going on, because when I was a child, I had a couple out-of-body experiences, and I was always able to leave my body. Sometimes it felt like I was able to just look at everyone from above, and I was wondering what I was doing. So I was able to know things that I couldn't have known. And so I started doubting myself, like, okay, I'm weird, I'm not normal, that shouldn't be. And obviously nobody really supported me in that either, because nobody really knows what I was talking about. And when I was 12, I had a dream that one day I would be moving to the United States and start some kind of a movement or something. At that point, I didn't know what. And I told my parents, and obviously they were like, yeah, whatever. You're good. Finish high school, and then we'll talk again. At 18, I left the country. Never looked back. I had to go back for studying, and then I came back here. And I think this whole story kind of, it is a success as well as a failure story, because it was a huge up and down, from betrayal by people. I ended up in the street with no money. I didn't know where I was going, what I was supposed to do. I questioned everything. But,
so wait, let's slow down for a second. Let's bring the people back into that, because I don't want to miss that emotion right there. Okay, so you're 18,
mm-hmm.
You're here in the United States, you don't know anybody, right? And you find yourself on the streets.
Not necessarily at 18. At 18, I worked for a family, but it still felt like I was living in a street, because I didn't speak any English. I didn't know my way around, and they started to use me pretty well, really taking advantage of me. And then at 19, 20, I went back to study, and then I came back when I was 26, I believe, 26, 27. And that's when it happened, when I ended up in the street of San Francisco.
Okay, so the timeline goes, you came at 18, you worked with a family, mm-hmm. You went back to study in Germany?
Yes.
Okay, so you went back to Germany, came back then as a prepared young woman. Mm-hmm. Okay, like in your mind, at least you thought you were prepared.
Yeah.
And you end up in San Francisco on the West Coast, and boom, right? You're just like, now you're a rude awakening, right?
Yes.
All right, so go ahead. So keep taking me on this journey.
Okay, so from there, I moved to Indianapolis and worked here for a family, which was great for a while, and then, it ended up not so great. There were some jealous moments going on, and it just, every time you live with another family, it's a little weird. But I got into IUPUI for a master's program, and at the same time, I met my now husband. So what really happened there, what really happened, I thought, okay, now this is my chance. I'm going to get into university. I get my master's. This is how I'm able to stay here. I really wanted to get into counseling. My bachelor's degree is in sociology, psychology, so I knew that this was the direction I wanted to go. Well, my husband, now husband, back then boyfriend, we only just met, so I couldn't even say anything, but I already knew that we would get married eventually. But he was like, 5 years, never going to happen now. And so I had to go back to Germany in 2010 and applied for my student visa, because I got into IUPUI and I didn't have any money. I knew I could never pay $60,000 for a 2-year master program. And somehow, some way, the officers at the immigration said, okay, you can go. We believe your story. And they gave me the visa, and I came back here. And I felt like a failure, because I felt like I came here with bad intentions, like I shouldn't have been doing that, but I still hope that God will work out something. And I came back and I told the university, I can't do it. I'm sorry. My sponsor left, and I don't have the money to even start or pay anything. And at that point, I still stayed with my back then boyfriend. And they said, well, the only thing you can do is to go to Canada and come back on a waiver tourist program and see if you can figure something out within 3 months. So I went to Canada. In Canada, they almost didn't let me go back. I almost got deported. It got a little nasty. And I just sat there and prayed, like, okay, God, you got me that far. I don't know where or what. I'm 27. I feel like the biggest loser ever. Other people already had family, or at least were married and had a job. Back then, I didn't even I haven't had a job at that point yet at all, like a big girl job. And I just didn't know what God really wanted me to do. So I came back after all. I was able to come back in after a lot of trouble. And I came back and I talked to my boyfriend. I was like, okay, we don't know what we're going to do. I don't think I'll be able to start studying. I just can't come up with the money. It's not working. And he's like, well, 5 years, I'm not getting married anytime soon. I want to have some personal goals that I want to accomplish. It's not going to happen. I'm like, okay, I have 3 months to figure something out. 1 month before I had to go back, I had to book the flight. And I was like, okay, nothing is going to work out. I just have to go back and figure out my life over there. And that night before I was hitting submit on the flight ticket, my husband or my boyfriend came home and said, no, I can't let you go. I want to marry you. God really worked in my heart. I just can't do it. And so within 2 weeks, we got married. Less than 3 months, I got my green card. So that's not the failure part. Yet I started a job then after. And then when I felt really like a failure again, because I hated it, I was like, oh, big girl job. It was great. But I lost my identity. I didn't feel American. I didn't feel German. Now that I was no longer struggling as I've had for almost 12 years. I mean, that was my whole story for 10, 12 years, a struggle, trying to figure out in between. I always called the in-between zone. I no longer was there, so I lost my identity and I had to start all over. And that's when I met a friend through a friend who is a coach, and he took me to their coaching program and said, maybe that is what you need to do. And so I went there and went through a whole transformational year, became a certified coach. It was huge, huge, huge. And that's when I started working as an entrepreneur and experienced the up and downs of having your own business. But in general, like just the latest failure that I felt was with my book that I published 3 chapters in with the book. So much crap came up for me just writing the book because I was able to just download and write. Some things I wrote, I read now and I'm like, who wrote that? I can't even remember that I did have that thought, but really just came. But it was just too much that came out at once, and I wanted to give up on everything. The book, my clients, my business, everything. I said, maybe I'm just supposed to be wife and mother and nothing else. And that was the lowest point over the last year, when I had a lot of people. I was really lucky to have a really great support system. And what I really had to discover through this process was that you only experience failure if you cannot forgive yourself or those who were involved in wherever you're at today. So to be able to move forward from that, you have to forgive yourself, like really letting go of that energy that's coming with it. My specialty is neuroscience, neuroplasticity, mid on quantum physics. And so we're examining the energy field around you as well. So when it comes to forgiveness, the guilt, the shame, it's almost like if you would picture it in colors, it's very dark, heavy colors that are attached to you. And when we forgive, it almost explodes it from inside, and it just comes down, and we're able to receive again, to really see and envision and feel free. And that's when you no longer experience anything as failure, or anything that happened before that you thought as a failure no longer feels like a failure, more like a teaching moment, a lesson, an experience.
Right. So
now I talked a lot.
No. That was fine, because, I just, I'm a firm believer that failure is one of those words. I think that's kind of like love, that it gets used often.
Yes.
And it just becomes part of the vocabulary, the vernacular of everyday talk. Oh, I just failed at this, or I failed at that.
Yeah.
When what they really mean is that you're challenged with, right? You have a problem that has presented itself.
Yes.
Right. And The problem is really just a doorway to an opportunity. You know how they're always saying, the opportunity knocks, open the door. That is opportunity knocking. The
Yes.
problem is opportunity. I mean, am I understanding what you're saying correctly?
Yes. But the thing is, when you're in that mindset of failure, it's really hard to get out. Like, you're starting a very vicious cycle in guilt, shame, disappointment, frustration, blame, whatever really shows up, and one adds to the other, because the more we focus on that failure, the more it becomes a reality in our mind, and the more it feels real. And what feels real is very hard to break through.
Exactly.
But when we know that, we can look at, okay, failure, forgiveness. Who do I have to forgive myself? Like, you don't even have to really break through it at that moment. You just have to remember failure, forgiveness. Okay, who do I have to forgive right now to get out of that vicious cycle? So yeah, it's hard to see the opportunity in the failure when you're right in the middle of it.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, give us a lesson learned that the listener can right now take and not make those mistakes. What would you say to the listener? Actually, let's say it to yourself. This is the magic wand, right? We went back in time. So now you see yourself back then, and you can tell yourself one thing. What would you tell yourself?
Don't be attached to the outcome if you walk your path in faith.
Wow, that's powerful. Super, super powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
Okay, so just like we did with the failure story, all right, let's do the opposite. Let's flip the script and have you tell us a story about your one aha moment, okay? One that's going to resonate with the Sock Talk listeners. Could you share with us that story?
The aha moment. Usually the aha moment follows, we always say a breakdown follows a breakthrough. And so with the breakdown, you have usually an aha moment following. It was the same with my husband when he finally said, no, I want to marry you. That aha moment, God has a plan. And sometimes he does act the last second, literally, but we never know when. So the time is always perfect. Another aha moment is, for me in general, really, the trust factor. The more we decide to trust in the next step we're called to do, the more we're being tested, because your ego is just getting really in the way. And it's just that reminder, trust. Because every time I've seen the biggest breakthroughs, that's when I just continued walking in faith and trusted that everything I do right now, and really know that it feels right with me, tuning in with myself, that's when I had the biggest breakthroughs.
Okay, so that's powerful. That's super powerful. You said so much there, but I want to go ahead and do like we did with the failure story. I want to go ahead and break it down for the listeners, something that will ignite their passion, accelerate them on a path, and annihilate a fear, okay, a limiting belief. What would you tell yourself? 3 things this time, 3 steps, 3 things that you must do to get you to that aha moment.
Okay, so considering what we just said, a breakdown follows a breakthrough. So the aha moment follows a failure moment, right? So when you find yourself 3 steps, I would say, especially as a coach, when you realize you're stuck in that cycle, take a step and go outside. Go outside, walk, because here's what it is. It has something to do with the polarities of your energy polarities of your body and the earth. The earth is naturally negative polarity. So your body within is always positive because God from within, right? But everything that we experience outside of that, in coaching, we call that survival mechanism. I call it the layer of clothes that we put on over time that keep us protected, is usually negative polarity as well. So if you go outside, and in holistic approach, we call it grounding and earthing, you just go outside and go for a walk and connect with nature, because the negative polarity of the earth with your negative polarity of your experience creates a balance again to positive. So that is the one thing I would say. Go outside, clear your mind. Then meditate is the next step for me. Always meditate and just calm your mind. Do some breathing exercise. Ask yourself what you experience is fact, is the truth, or you just took it on from someone else, or something that you made up in your mind. If you're really calming your mind and you're really meditating, you will know what is really your stuff and what is something that you just experienced from the outside that you couldn't control. And the third step is to write down your vision for your life as it already happens. And you can do that every time you feel like you just failed, because it increases and it ups your body frequency, and therefore you experience a different level of spiritual connection, as well as a connection within yourself, and therefore a different experience that you have about life. And so always writing it down, even if it's just half a page or a whole page, writing down your vision as it is happening now.
Right. And how do you feel about declaring it out, like speaking it out as well?
Yes, it depends who you are. For some people, the writing helps. For other people, it's maybe recording it. I personally find the writing with most of my clients works better, because they can see it and they can come back to it. Like usually when you record something, it's harder to get back to listening to something than if you just have something next to you laying there and you can just glance over it.
I got it. I got you. I definitely got you. All right, Isabel, thank you so much for that. I think that the listener definitely got a couple of nuggets, golden nuggets, maybe even platinum nuggets out of that one. Okay, so Isabel, we are into the SocTalks, the showdown. Okay, this is where I shoot some random questions at you, and you shoot back the first thing that pops into your mind. Okay? But first, you can find Isabel on the usual suspect media hosts like Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, as well as her website, which is www.isabelhundt.com, and that's spelled Hundt. So ISABELHUNDT.com and www.faithdrivensuccess.com. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so Isabel, are you ready for the showdown?
Yes, give it to me.
Okay. What do you do the first 80 minutes of your day?
All right, my actual day starts around noon, because before that I have my son and my husband. But work day starts at noon, when I sit down and just for 30 minutes meditate, pray, and just reflect and envision what I want to accomplish, and affirmations as well. And then I check my emails, answer the most important, and then I just really go through my list, because I have limited time with my son being home. I just work one thing at a time. And that's pretty much the first 80 minutes of my day.
So let's focus on that for a second. You said, so work one thing at a time. How do you prioritize that?
I also pray over those. Whatever I feel the strongest on my heart to finish, that's what I'm doing, what I'm going to do. It doesn't always work, but a lot of time it does work. I write things down that I would like to get done for the whole week, and then I see, okay, what time do I have now? How much time do I have to finish what? And then I just take it off that list.
Question number 2. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. The best advice you ever received?
It might sound cheesy, but the best advice that I've received was go for your dream. You know best what your dream is.
That's powerful. It's not cheesy at all, right? Actually, it's this is a no negativity zone, so you get docked 2 points for saying it might sound cheesy. No, I'm kidding. No, but yes, that's powerful. Yeah, go for your dreams. Go make those dreams happen. Earlier on you talked about step number 3 was, revisiting your vision, right?
Yes.
That's very powerful. Super powerful. So, okay, question number 3. Biggest strength.
Biggest strength. I say what I mean, and I mean what I say.
Biggest weakness.
Impatience. I'm not the most patient person.
Why do you think that?
Patience doesn't go very well with control, and I'm a little bit of a control freak, and when I can't control something, like having patience, it gets to me.
Okay. Well, we're all allowed to have one thing, right?
Right.
Okay. Question number 5, and this is obviously the big question, right? This is the question that is we're known for. So here it is. You wake up in an alternate universe. Everything that you had is gone. Okay. You've got $500 in your pocket. You've got a smartphone, but you have no names in it, no contacts at all in it. What do you do?
Are there other people?
Yeah, there's a bunch of people in the world.
Okay.
It's just not anybody you know.
Okay. I would just do the same thing as I did when I moved to the US. Only difference, I had less money and I didn't have a smartphone, but I am the person who just comes into a room and within 5 minutes I made friends. So I think for me that actually would be a wonderful, wonderful experience because I'm not shy. I just go and talk to people and say, hey, what are you doing today? What's your dream? What would you like to do? So that smartphone, the contacts would fill up fast.
Wow. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Isabel Hundt, the woman of an open heart and open mind and open spirit and not afraid to say hello to you, apparently.
Yes.
Which is great. So that's funny. When I was asking the question, I was like, well, it seems like you already lived this when you were 26.
Yeah.
It's funny. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was really fun.
Did you have a good time?
Yes, definitely.
Good. It's great reflecting back on everything, right? Because these questions are kind of general, but they're powerful, right? Because they actually make you take a trip through your life.
Yes.
And appreciate those things that we kind of take for granted now because we're not there anymore.
Thank you for listening to Socrates Zayas on SocTalks. Please visit us at SocTalks.com for a chance to win a $50 gift card. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Give us a great review, and Socrates will give you a personal shout out on the very next show. Boom.